Today we are going to define the idea, concept and perception in philosophy. Let's start with the definition of idea. What idea is. Meanings of ideas in philosophy. In philosophy, ideas are usually taken as mental representational images of some objects. So basically, idea is a mental representation images of some object which we see or which we have image in our mind. Idea can also be abstract concept that do not represent as mental image. Many philosophers have considered idea to be a fundamental ontological category of being. So the capacity to create and understand the meaning of idea is considered to be an essential and defining feature of human beings. In a popular sense, an idea arises in a reflexive, spontaneous manner even without thinking or serious reflection. For example, when we talk about the idea of a person or a place. So this idea, a new or original idea, can often lead to be as an innovation. Let's now define different definition of idea which are put forward by the different philosophers or social scientists. So Rene Descartes wrote the meaning of idea as an image or representation, whereas John Locke defined idea as that term which I think serves best to stand for whatsoever is the object of the understanding when a man thinks. Then David Hume differs from Locke by limiting idea to the more or less vague mental reconstruction of perception, the perceptual process being described as the impression. So Immanuel Kant defines an idea as opposed to a concept. Regulative ideas are the ideals that one must tend toward, but by definition may not be completely realized. So liberty, according to Kant, is an idea. So Willem Wundt defined the idea as a conscious representation of some object or process of external world. In so doing, he includes not only ideas of memory and imagination but also perceptual process. So then C.S. Peirce defined a clear idea is the study. He uses concept and idea as a synonymic. So same thing, idea and concept is defined as one. When it is apprehended such as it will be the recognized wherever it is met, so no other will mistaken by it. If it fails for its clearness, it's said to be obscure. So definition of idea continues. G.F. Scott and J.M. Bolden define idea as the reproduction with more or less adequate image of an object not actually present to the sense. An idea and a perception are by various authorities contrast in various ways. Difference in degree of intensity, comparative absence of bodily movement on the part of subject, comparative dependence on mental activities are suggested by psychologists as the characteristics of an idea as compared with a perception. So it should be observed that an idea in the narrower and the generally accepted sense of mental reproduction is frequently composite or made of many different parts. So this is the difference between concept and the idea. After defining the idea by different philosophers, let's see the characteristics of an idea. So it must be workable. Any idea which is not workable is not an idea. It must be something you are passionate about it, so you have passion about that thing. It must be likable, it must be spreadable, it must be advantage over the other things, and it must be measurable, and it must have a story. So these are the characteristics of an idea. What is the difference between idea and concept? As we have discussed in previous slides, idea is in design the initial spark or beginning of a concept. In philosophy, ideas are usually constituted as a mental representational image of some object. Idea can also be abstract, whereas concept in design is a presentation document with enough detail. So the difference is the detail to show that design has been fully researched, designed and evaluated to meet the brief with a little down nose as possible. A concept in philosophy is instantiated more real by all of its actual or potential instances, whether these are things in the real world or other ideas. So concept has more detail as compared to the idea. This is the main thing, and it has more related to real world as compared to idea. The next is the idea versus perception. So perception is from Latin word perceo, is the organization's identification and interpretation of the sensory information in order to represent and understand the presented information or the environment. So basically perception is a in a, or any idea which is organized, which could be identifiable, and which could be interpreted according to our sensory information. So this is the main difference between idea and the perception. A concept versus facts. A concept is a general idea, usually one or two words. A fact is a bit of information, something that is true and can be observed. So this is the main difference between concept and facts. So facts are memorized and concepts are understood. Finally, concept, perception and notion. A concept is a form idea that usually can be communicated, and perception is the way in which you envision or see something, and this can be an object or an idea. Notion is similar to the concept, but more often having an opinion or judgment. So notion is like a opinion or a judgment of a human being. So these were the briefly I described all these definitions which we used in philosophy.